Welcome to the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services module, Learning How to Use the CMS HQRP website. This is the second of 5 modules in a larger series focused on navigating all of the HQRP websites. Learners may choose to listen to the entire series, or may choose to listen to 1 or 2 modules that are of most interest to them, meaning the modules in this series can be watched independently or as a group. Included on slide 2 is a list of acronyms that will be used in this presentation. Acronyms are listed in alphabetical order. As part of the HQRP, we often get questions from hospice providers about how content on the CMS HQRP website is organized and where to find relevant information. This module will help learners understand the ins and outs of navigating the CMS HQRP website, which is the official website of the HQRP. Although content on the CMS HQRP website changes as new information is added, the structure of the website follows a basic format. Importantly, this module will help learners gain confidence with how to locate information on the website, even as the website changes and updates over time. Specific learning objectives are listed on slide 3. With that said, let's begin our overview of the CMS HQRP website. Slide 5 contains a screenshot of the CMS HQRP website homepage. As you can see in the screenshot, there are multiple pages on this website. I'll refer to the pages by how you can access them, which is through the tabs. Tabs are accessible through the left-hand sidebar of the website. Most pages, or tabs, are organized following a general structure with some exceptions. Slide 6 shows an example tab to help you visualize this structure. All tabs start with the title of the tab at the top. In this example, we're looking at the HQRP Requirements and Best Practices tab. Typically, each tab will then have an About This Page description, which states the purpose of the tab and outlines the content it contains. If you're not sure whether you're on the right tab, read this description first and see if it fits your needs. The Updates section typically appears third. Updates are a running list of postings for new content and announcements. Updates are listed by date with newest posts at the top. The last section on most tabs is Downloads. Downloads are where providers can find hyperlinks to downloadable content. Let's talk a bit more about the downloads. The Downloads section is where content such as fact sheets, PowerPoint slides, and manuals will be placed. Downloads are usually either in PDF or zip file format. The screenshot on slide 7 provides an example of how downloads are posted. Downloads are typically posted in 2 steps. First, whenever a download is updated or made available, CMS will issue a post in the Update section of that page, as well as on the Spotlights and Announcements tab, to make providers aware of the new content. The post will briefly explain the purpose and content of that download, so you can determine whether the download is helpful or relevant to you. Second, CMS will place the actual zip or PDF file in the Downloads section at the bottom of the appropriate tab. In the example provided in the screenshot, we see the announcement from November 9th telling providers that a new HQRP quarterly update document is now available. The update includes a description of the document, and the document itself is then found at the bottom of the page under the separate Downloads section. So once you find the update, you'll have to scroll to the bottom of the page to find the corresponding download. Now that we understand more about the general architecture of the CMS HQRP website, let's talk about the content for each tab. As we've learned already, there are several pages or tabs on the CMS HQRP website. Some tabs stand alone, while others can be grouped into collections of pages that have a similar focus. Slide 8 shows an overall organizational structure for the current tabs on the CMS HQRP website. We'll go through each of these tabs and collections of tabs now, but this may be a helpful reference slide to keep handy as you navigate the CMS HQRP website on your own. The first individual tab that we'll go over is the Spotlight and Announcements tab. Slide 10 shows a screenshot. As indicated by the red box, the Spotlight and Announcements tab is the first tab on the CMS HQRP website. The Spotlight and Announcements tab appears first for a reason. When visiting the CMS HQRP website, it should be your first stop. That's because it's a running list of all new content across all the HQRP tabs. As we just saw, there's a lot of tabs on the CMS HQRP website, so it could take you a while to click through each one individually and look for new content. But if you go to the Spotlight and Announcements tab first, it will tell you what's new across all the tabs. For example, if a new fact sheet is posted on the HQRP Requirements and Best Practices tab, it will be announced here on Spotlight and Announcements, and a hyperlink to the resource will be included. Like other tabs, Spotlight and Announcements posts are organized by date, with the newest posts at the top. Spotlight posts will typically remain on the page for 6 months, after which they are archived. Visit Spotlight and Announcements on a weekly basis to keep up to date on the HQRP and review any new content that has been posted. Next, we'll explore our first collection of tabs, the data collection and submission pages. Before we begin, remember that HQRP equals HIS plus CAHPS, meaning you need to collect and submit both HIS and CAHPS data to comply with HQRP requirements. As you can see on slide 13, there are several tabs on the CMS HQRP website that will help you with data collection and submission. We'll go over this collection of tabs now. The first data collection and submission page that we'll talk about is the HIS tab. This tab is your one-stop shop for all information on HIS data collection. Specifically, this tab provides the most recent HIS manual, coding guidelines, and information on general HIS requirements. So if you're wondering, how do I complete a specific HIS item? Or, what are the basic HIS requirements? Visit this webpage. The next tab for data collection and submission is the HIS Technical Information tab. Where the HIS tab contains information on HIS data collection, the HIS Technical Information tab is exclusive to data submission and capture. The main resources you'll find here are the HIS data submission and technical specifications, information on new releases of the software used for HIS data capture, which is the HART tool, and some limited information on the system used to submit HIS data, which is Keys ASAP. More detailed information on these systems and tools can be found on the qtso.com website. To help make the HIS Technical Information tab easy to use, CMS has embedded external hyperlinks to the qtso.com website throughout this page. Next, we have the Hospice CAHPS tab, which contains general, high-level information on the Hospice CAHPS survey, such as data collection requirements and deadlines. More details on the CAHPS Hospice survey are available on the external CAHPS survey website. For convenience, a hyperlink to the external CAHPS Hospice survey website is included on this tab. For more information on the external CAHPS Hospice survey website, view the third module of this training series. So far, we've talked about tabs that can help you with HIS and Hospice CAHPS data collection and submission. After you collect and submit HIS and CAHPS data, CMS uses that data to calculate scores on quality measures. The Current Measures tab is where you can find information on the quality measures themselves, including their specifications. This page will tell you the numerator, denominator, and measure exclusions for each HIS and CAHPS measure. Next among the data collection and submission pages is the HQRP Requirements and Best Practices tab. This tab will help you be compliant with HQRP requirements as it contains fact sheets outlining requirements for each reporting year, quarterly update and FAQ documents, as well as resources for new providers to help them get started with the HQRP. The final tab among the data collection and submission pages is the Provider Engagement Opportunities tab. As CMS refines current requirements and develops new quality measures and data collection mechanisms, there are often opportunities for providers to get involved. This tab is where CMS will announce such opportunities. So visit this tab if you're interested in shaping the future of the HQRP. Our next collection of pages is the Training pages, which consists of two tabs: the Announcements and Registration tab and the Training and Education Library tab. Content on these two tabs will cover training events and materials for the HQRP overall. Let's talk about the Announcements and Registration tab first. This tab will announce future training and educational events. Each announcement for an upcoming training will include pertinent information for the event, including event date and time, any available content, and links to register for the event. Next is the Training and Education Library tab. This tab contains information for past training and educational events. Once a training occurs and materials from the training become available, they will be placed on this tab. These past trainings and materials are a great resource to providers and cover a range of topics. Because this tab is a historical library for all training events, this tab may be useful for hospice providers who missed a live training or were able to attend the training but want to refer back to materials. All materials on this tab are available for providers' access or re-access at their convenience. Most materials are also downloadable so that you can share PowerPoints or recordings with other staff at your hospice. The Training and Education Library tab is organized by event, with the most recent events displayed at the top of the page. The organization is similar to other pages, where content descriptions are listed under Updates and resources are available under Downloads. Let's look at an example. For each event, all relevant training materials and resources are listed in the event description under Updates, and the downloadable materials are grouped into a single download for the event in zip format. The example here is for the Reporting Hospice Quality Data Tips for Compliance training. The first screenshot is from the Updates section, where you will find descriptions of each event. The description of each event will include some key pieces of information, including the title of the event, what you will learn from that event, the date of the original training, and available resources. The available resources is essentially a list of downloads that are available for the event. For this particular event, there were two resources, a PowerPoint and a checklist. The second screenshot is of the download section. You'll note the download file name will match the name of the training event as it is listed in the updates. This makes it easy to match the correct download with the correct event. Remember, there were two files available for this event, a PowerPoint and a checklist. Both files have been zipped into a single download to keep everything organized. The next collection of pages that we'll cover are the policy pages. There are two tabs included in this collection, one that covers reconsideration requests, and the other that covers requests for extensions or exemptions. Screenshots of each page are displayed on slides 27 and 28. Under certain circumstances, providers may need to submit either a reconsideration request or a request for exemption or extension due to extraordinary circumstances. We won't go into a lot of detail on what those requests are in this module, but in general, reconsideration requests are available to any provider who is initially found non-compliant with HQRP requirements for a given reporting cycle. Reconsideration requests are an opportunity for providers to present evidence of their compliance to CMS. Exemption and extension requests are available to providers under extraordinary circumstances, like a natural or man-made disaster. If you experience a disaster that prevents you from submitting HQRP data, you can apply for an extension or exemption, which would allow you to submit data late or not at all for a specified period of time. Note that if you are part of a natural disaster that affects a large geographic area, CMS may grant an exemption or extension without you having to apply for it. If CMS does this, it will be announced on this page. Reconsideration requests and exemption and extension requests are available for both HIS and CAHPS. Each policy tab will contain all the information you need to complete each request, including information on eligibility and deadlines, and detailed instructions on how to submit these requests. To ensure your request is appropriate and contains all the necessary information, you should carefully review the content on these pages before submitting your request. Our next collection of pages is the public reporting web pages. Generally speaking, public reporting refers to the public display of HQRP data, both HIS and CAHPS data, on the Hospice Compare website. There are a total of 4 public reporting tabs, and they are listed here on slide 31. Collectively, these tabs provide information on the background, timeline, and processes for public reporting and Hospice Compare. Let's begin with the Public Reporting, Background, and Announcements tab. This tab provides an overview of public reporting, including high-level information about Hospice Compare. This tab is also where important details about public reporting are announced. Providers should check this page often to stay up to date on all things Hospice Compare. Next, we have the Key Dates for Providers tab, which provides a master table outlining key public reporting dates for both HIS and CAHPS, including HIS freeze dates, preview report release dates, preview windows, and the Hospice Compare refresh schedule. The information included in the table on the Key Dates tab is crucial to your hospice's success in public reporting. Familiarity with these dates will ensure you meet critical data reporting deadlines, are informed of which quarters of data will be reflected in each refresh, and that you have the opportunity to review your data that will be displayed on Compare. So as a tip, we recommend printing the PDF version of this table. If any changes or updates to these dates occur, they will be announced by CMS. The final 2 public reporting tabs are specific to preview reports and requests for CMS review of data. Note that there are 2 separate tabs to cover this content, one that is specific to the HIS and one that is specific to Hospice CAHPS. Slide 35 shows a screenshot of the HIS specific tab. Slide 36 shows a screenshot of the CAHPS specific tab. There are 2 separate tabs because the process for requesting CMS review of data is different for HIS and CAHPS. The HIS-specific page contains information on the HIS provider preview reports and the 30-day HIS preview period. It also explains the procedure for providers to request CMS review of HIS data displayed on their preview report. The CAHPS preview reports and requests for CMS review of CAHPS data tab contains analogous content for CAHPS. So remember, the separate web pages exist to explain the respective processes for HIS and CAHPS. One key difference in the process is where you submit your request for CMS review of data. There are separate help desks for these requests for HIS and CAHPS. Make sure you review the correct tab and submit your request to the appropriate help desk, or the request will not be processed. Next, we have the Help Desks tab. As there are many HQRP help desks available to providers, this tab exists to explain the focus and purpose of each help desk. This tab is also where you can find the contact information for each help desk. For more information on the HQRP help desks, view the 5th module in this series. The final tab we'll cover is the Hospice Quality Reporting Archives tab. The Archives tab is where old announcements and downloads are placed when they are no longer current. This information may be useful for historical reference purposes, but hospice providers should note that information has been moved here because it is no longer current. This concludes the module, Learning How to Use the CMS HQRP website. After reviewing this module, you should have a better understanding of the types of information included on the CMS HQRP website, as well as a better understanding of how the information is organized. This is the second of 5 modules in the series Navigating the HQRP Websites. The other modules in this training series are listed here on slide 43, and we encourage you to view these modules for additional information on the listed topics. Thank you for viewing this presentation. The information presented was correct as of the date it was recorded. This presentation is not a legal document. Official Medicare program legal guidance is contained in the relevant statutes, regulations, and rulings.